Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's severe weather update. So, severe weather continues across the plains and the south today, where the Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk of severe weather across northeastern Colorado, far southwestern Nebraska, and far northwestern Kansas in the small orange area today. We have a slight risk across far southeast Wyoming, northeast Colorado, central, southern, and western Nebraska, central northwestern Kansas in the yellow, and we also have another slight risk across far southeast Arkansas, northeast Louisiana, through Mississippi, central southern Alabama, central southern Georgia, far southwest South Carolina, and far northern Florida in this yellow area today, and a marginal risk extending from Wyoming and South Dakota through the plains, through the deep south in the dark green, another marginal risk across northeastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota, and a third marginal risk across far eastern areas of New England around the Boston area. So looking at today's tornado threat, we do have an elevated tornado threat across the northeastern corner of Colorado, southwestern corner of Nebraska, and northwestern corner of Kansas today, where the Storm Prediction Center has issued a 5% chance of tornadoes touching down within 25 miles of a location today. Make sure you're on guard for some scattered tornadoes if you live in this brown area today. And then we have a 2% chance of tornadoes in the green area today, including areas like McCook, Nebraska, and Colby, Kansas. And we also have a 2% tornado risk for the Boston area today. So make sure you're on guard for some isolated spin-up tornadoes if you live in parts of Rhode Island, eastern Massachusetts, southeastern New Hampshire, far southwestern Maine, and far eastern Connecticut. Looking at the damaging wind threat today, we have a 15% chance of damaging straight-line winds of 58 miles per hour stronger within 25 miles of a location across northeast Colorado, central western Nebraska, and central northwest Kansas. And we also have a hatched area, which means that some of these wind gusts could be in excess of 75 miles per hour today, including areas like McCook and Colby. So make sure you're on guard for a few destructive wind gusts if you live across this hatched area today. Also, a 15% wind risk across the south in the yellow, with a 5% damaging wind risk in the brown areas from the Rockies through the plains through the deep south across eastern New England, 5% damaging wind risk, and a 5% damaging wind risk across far northeast North Dakota, northwest Minnesota. And looking at the large hail threat, the large hail threat is going to be the biggest threat across northeast Colorado, southwestern Nebraska, and northwestern Kansas, where the Storm Prediction Center has issued a 30% chance of quarter-size hail or larger within 25 miles of a location in this red area, a 15% chance in the yellow area for much of Nebraska and central northwest Kansas, and a 5% hail risk all the way through Oklahoma, Arkansas into the south, and across northeastern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota in the brown areas. And then in this hatched area, including areas like McCook, Colby, and just to the east of Cheyenne, you could be seeing destructive hail of golf ball, the tennis ball, the baseball, the softball size today. So make sure you're parking your cars in the garage, especially if you live in this 30% and this hatched area today. So timing out the storms across the northern or across the plains and eastern Rockies, storms are going to initiate sometime around 5 o'clock this afternoon, and then as we go into 6 and 7 o'clock, there's going to be likely a bowing line of storms somewhere across northeast Colorado, western Nebraska, and then this is going to turn to a MCS as we go into around 8 to 9 o'clock, with large hail on the southern end of the MCS and damaging winds across central western Nebraska. And going into 10 and 11 o'clock, these storms are going to move across Nebraska, and more back-building storms in eastern Colorado could be producing hail all the way through 1 a.m. Central Time. And then going into 2, 3 a.m. Central Time, we see this MCS pushing across north central Kansas through the Lincoln and Omaha area. And then we could see some really nasty storms north of Wichita, Kansas by around 4 a.m., going to 5 a.m., 6 a.m., nasty storms pushing through Wichita, Kansas potentially, and then we're going to start to see these storms move to the east by tomorrow morning and continuing to look pretty nasty. So I'm going to be covering this in tomorrow's video. Look at timing the storms across the south. We have a big complex of storms across Arkansas and Mississippi this morning. And then these are going to push to the southeast through the morning around 11 a.m. Central Time. We could be seeing damaging winds moving across western Mississippi, northeast Louisiana, and then going into noon. This complex is actually expected to weaken as it moves across Alabama, and then we could just be seeing some scattered damaging winds across Alabama, maybe into northern Florida as we go into the afternoon, and maybe across southeastern Georgia in the evening. So compared to yesterday, a pretty tame severe weather threat, but make sure you're on guard for severe weather, especially across northeast Colorado, southwest Nebraska, northwest Kansas, and the deep south. Thanks for watching today's severe weather update. Please stay safe and have a wonderful day, my friends.